Hi, I'm Tingli. I'm a second-year PhD student from University of Sheffield, and today I'm going to present a part of my research. The topic of the day is study on fiscal policy sustainability considering population aging for major economy. The keyword fiscal sustainability means whether the government can eventually pay off the debt, and it's about the fiscal solvency. Let me show you a graph of the debt to ratio first. This is the debt to GDP ratio for G7 and China. So before 2021, our historical data, we can see that there is a clear increasing tendency for most of them, except for Germany. It still fluctuates around the 60%. And after 2021, the forecast from IMF, so it forecasts that some of them are increase in the future and some of them decrease. However, the volume of the debt to ratio is already quite high. This graph is the old age dependency ratio. It shows from 1960, the dependency ratio is around 20%, and in 2021, especially for Japan, their old age dependency ratio has reached around 50% already. For other advanced economies, it is above 20%, now around the 30%. So population aging can also be told from the perspective of population pyramids. Right here, I put the United Kingdom as the representative for the advanced economies, and I put also the population pyramid for China on the right-hand side. So we can see that for both types of the economies, their base right here are shrinking while comparing to the elder age group. So for some of the countries that we mentioned, they already have the sort of a problem, or say their fiscal sustainability status already in doubt. And when considering population aging, this change in demographic structure, it will have impact on macro variables such as the economic growth, primary deficit, and this would bring fiscal sustainability under even more unprecedented challenge. So what we're trying to do is take the population aging into account and to see what is going to happen to the fiscal sustainability status. There are two main research methods among the empirical work. One is through the test of constraint and the other through use of indicators. So however, using only one of these methods can only give limited information. So we choose to use one model, to use this VAR model to derive results of three tests. Of course, the three tests using the methods above to describe the physical sustainability status for G7 groups and China. So before we start, it is better that we can give a clear definition of physical sustainability. So modern macroeconomy theory says that the fiscal policy is sustainable if the intertemporal government budget constraint can hold. That is the equation 1 right here. It says that the outstanding stock of public debt, the BT right here, should matches the forecast of present discounted value of the primary balance. So the forecast from the model is quite important. For our analysis in the paper, so we use a bit different government budget constraint. We do linear approximation and forward iterating to the nominal government budget constraint, and then we get this equation 2. Right here we have the discount rate rho as the real interest rate adjusted for economic growth rate and the growth rate of population. Through this equation, we can take the population aging into account. And with these equations, we can have different components of FSI directly extracted and decide the variables should be included in the model. So the model that we use is just a simple VAR model, and we have the variables in the government project constraint, especially the equation 2, which is shown to be included in the vectors. And also the control variables, cyclical component of output and cyclical component of government expenditure for one of the tests. So one model is to use right here because it's well documented for forecasting in the short run, and it can also take into account possible structural breaks without need for the large amount of prior testing that identify breaks. The VAR model also has the advantage that it does not impose any particular view of the economy, so there's no contentious critics about the structure of the economy. And we stick to the equation 3, since no matter the integrated order of the variables in ZT is equal or larger than 0, the related co-integrated VAR could be written just in this way. And for convenience, sometimes we're just going to use the companion form VAR to do the forecast. The first test we have is the combo test. So combo tests tell whether fiscal policy can be sustainable by testing a cross-equation restriction. It mainly just separately regressing left-hand side and right-hand side of IGBC, the equation 1, on the big ZT. So the forecast of present value of future primary balance can be written in this way. And we take this part out and name it F. We're regressing the left-hand side of IGBC, which is just the depth ratio on the vector, since the depth ratio is part of the large ZT. Times this selection matrix, we can get the depth ratio. And if the IGBC can hold, then this part just should equal to this one. And then use word test, we can test this hypothesis. The second test is the Bones rule test. So the Bones rule shows whether increase in public debt would elicit an increase in the government primary balance, and while controlling other determinants of primary balance. So right here, we try to use a structural VAR model, and through the Cholesky decomposition approach, we get this equation right here. So through the equation right here, we can tell how the government would react to the increase in debt ratio through this parameter, CB, while controlling the growth rate of population in the same period and the other lagged variables. The third test is the fiscal stance indicator. So arrange a bit of the equation 3 we just got right there, we can have this equation 10. So left-hand side tells us the target debt ratio, and the right-hand side is the present value of the forecast of the future debt in period T plus J. So we can put this part to the left-hand side, then we will get the FSI. So FSI mainly tells the difference between the target debt ratio and the forecasted debt ratio. When it's larger than 0, it tells you that the fiscal policy is too tight, and if it's smaller than 0, as many will be found, the fiscal policy is just too loose. We choose the 5-year time horizon in this analysis, and the target debt ratio is set as the average debt ratio between 1998 and 2007, because this is the period that has the comparatively low debt ratio and relatively good fiscal stance. So this is the comparison table for the 3 tests, and the column lists the advantage, or say what the information this test can offer. The forward-looking as the advantage is contained by compo test and the FSI. And among the 3 tests, only compo test tells exactly whether the fiscal policy can be sustainable or not. And if it says that the fiscal policy is not sustainable, just tell the debt is too much. The bonds rule, since it tells the response of government to the debt ratio, it can tell if it's negative, it says that the government should make it the response higher, less negative. And it also tell the real gains or cost, the impact of government policy. And the FSI, through the gap between the target debt ratio and the forecast debt ratio, it tells if the debt is too much or too little. And the more negative is the FSI. It tells you that maybe the more you need to adjust. It also tells the real gains and cost because it tells this stance of government finance would actually result in higher debt ratio. So we use the data from the OECD and the IMF database because it's country-specific analysis. We just use as much as data that we can get. So the data period is a bit different from here, but we try to extend it as much as possible. So let's have a look at the empirical result. The first column shows the Campo test result, and through in this group, we have that only for France that the IGBC cannot hold. And the response to the debt ratio is all negative right here. Okay, so it tells the possibility to default. And the FSI right here is only for Germany that is the positive, which says that the forecast of debt ratio is around the target one. And the negative result for others says that the fiscal policy might be a little bit too loose. And for this group, these 4 countries, the Campo test says that for Italy, the IGBC cannot hold. And through the response of debt ratio, still negative for 4 countries. And the indicator says that the fiscal policy for all these 4 countries are too loose. So according to the Campo test result, the intertemporal government budget constraint cannot hold for France and Italy, and is at 5% significance level. Campo test results show that the United States is fiscally sustainable. Bones rule test results show that the contemporaneous response of debt ratio to primary balance varies from country to country, but overall, the impact of debt ratio on the same period primary balance is either negligible or leads to a decline in the current fiscal surplus. The FSI, this test showed that the fiscal policy for all countries analyzed, except Germany, are too loose. So for France, according to the test result of the 3 tests, it says that in the long run, their fiscal policy should change, because now we can see that the IGBC for them do not hold, and the fiscal authorities of those countries, they do not proactively react to the increase in debt ratio in the same period. So in this way, from the bonus rule, they should try to increase the response. And for most of the countries analyzed, that is, they should adjust their fiscal policy properly.